Good evening and welcome. Tonight we commemorate the first anniversary of a day none of us will ever forget. This past year has been a shattering time for the people of Israel and for Jews around the world. For many, there's been an overwhelming sense of vulnerability and isolation. But tonight, thousands and thousands of pro-Israel Americans, people of all backgrounds, races, and faiths, are joining this AIPAC memorial, a reminder that we are not alone. On October 7th, Hamas tried to break the spirit and soul of the State of Israel. Its horrific attack brought death, destruction, and unimaginable violence. 1 year later, everything has changed. In Israel, in the Middle East, in America, everything has changed. As we come together tonight, the IDF is confronting Iran and its proxies on 7 fronts, fighting a just and moral battle to protect its families from those seeking to destroy the Jewish state. As its soldiers press forward, Israel's decision-makers are preparing a significant response to Iran's unprecedented missile attack. This regional war that was launched and orchestrated by Iran is likely closer to the beginning than it is to the end. October 7th redefined all of us, just as the next months and years will redefine the very future of the Middle East. Our community, just as it has for the past 365 days, must do everything we can to match the strength, resilience, and determination of the Israeli people. We must remain committed to our mission to ensure that America continues to support Israel and its right to defend itself, and that Iran faces severe consequences for its actions. Tonight's program is an opportunity for us to reflect on a year unlike any we have ever experienced. It's a story about the devastation of October 7th, Israeli resilience on October 8th and every day thereafter, and about America and Israel and the sacred bond between these two countries. We honor the legacy of those lost. We recommit to fighting even harder for the 101 hostages still being held in Gaza, and to supporting all of the people of Israel who wake up every day in harm's way. And we redouble our commitment to strengthening the U.S.-Israel relationship. We have a responsibility to remember, and even more important, we have to remember our responsibility.
Every member of Kibbutz Nir Oz, for me, is part of my family. Some of them, I go with them from grade 5. They're my brothers. We were a community of about 400. 1 out of 4 was either murdered or kidnapped.
Breaking news this morning, dramatic developments happening in Israel.
They attacked by air, land and sea, taking Israel by surprise during a major Jewish holiday.
Hamas says it has taken Israelis hostage.
This is an unprecedented surprise attack on Israel, the likes of which this country has not seen since the Yom Kippur War that happened 50 years ago.
Marking a dark day in the history of Israel.
Take us to how it started.
So 6:30 in the morning, we saw the rockets in the sky.
Around 6:30, we started to hear rockets.
I got the call from my LD the morning of the 7th.
We were woken up by the alarms sounding. We live in central Israel, so for us to hear alarms isn't a regularity.
I was back in my district and news started to trickle in.
6:30 in the morning, we have an alarm. Our alarm is Tseva Adom, red color. We're very used to that. For the last 15, 20 years, it's a regular thing. I don't know exactly how long it was, but it took a very short time until we hear people speaking in Arabic behind our back door. And they were in our home, inside. They shot the front door open, they shot in the living room, and then we hear smashing and shouting and trying to open the handle of the safety room. And from that moment, the struggle on the handle began.
Gaza is a quiet kibbutz with a beautiful community. And I knew I want to raise my family there. It's absurd, but we felt so safe there. Around 6:30, we started to hear rockets. And straight away, we went to the safe room, to the shelter. We didn't realize what is going on. We heard Arabic outside our window. We were so afraid, and I can't even describe the feeling. And soon they were in our house. When they saw they couldn't open the door and we're not gonna go outside, they started to burn the house. We started to suffocate from the smoke. So we held our daughter and we just went from the shelter through the fire. They took a gas tank that we use for cooking and they took it from the outside, opened it and threw it to the fire. That was like a flamethrower. We got severely burned. And that was the first time that we thought about giving up, the pain and the shock of everything. It was so confusing, hectic, frightening. But I told my husband we're gonna do whatever it takes to save our daughter.
On October 7, I worked as security guard at the Nova Music Festival with my best friend, Bar Cooperstein. It was kind of a, freedom festival. Everyone came with their friends to having fun and to dance. So 6:30 in the morning, we saw the rockets in the sky. So I drive on my ATV and tell the people, leave right now, leave your stuff and going home fast. I saw a woman and she get out from the car and she was bleeding from the head. And for me, that second I start to think to myself, why is she bleeding? It's just rockets in the sky. The second I put her in the paramedic, in the ambulance, she just looked at me and told me a terrorist attacked us. And the fact what happened, it's terrorists waiting on the roads and just the terrorists shooting on every car that came. And then everything started.
Allahu Akbar!
I had a small cupboard in the safety room. It wasn't high enough to reach the handles, so I had some stamp albums. I stuffed the albums between the top of the cupboard and the handles, so they tried to push it down, and the albums stopped them. And because it's on wheels, I sat on the far end of the cupboard to keep it stuck to the door. For some reason, they didn't burn our house. They didn't shoot the door in the safety room. And we managed to hold and keep the handle, the lock. So here we are.
We were sure they're gonna come and kill us, but they just left the house. Because of the house set on fire and the roof started to fall, we realized it's not safe to stay in house. We need to go outside and look for a place to hide. We just fled from the house. And we knew that they are looking for people and they're inside houses in the neighborhoods. So we decided we're gonna go to the agriculture part of the kibbutz. And we saw a tractor, so we decided it's a good place to hide there because it was with a high cabin on top. So we climbed there. I have 60% burns, my husband has 42% burns, and my daughter has 30% burns, open wound. We climbed there and we stayed there for an hour and a half.
We're hearing shooting. We saw from in front of us a terrorist with their cars just started to shooting on us. And that moment, Bar, my best friend, told me, Dean, go inside to the party. I opened the emergency exit and start running. And I decided to take with me a bunch of people, maybe 10 or 15 people, tell the people follow me. And just running from bush to bush and shooting behind us from everywhere. And this is what we doing for probably 1 hour and a half. And then in the last time that we ran from a bush, the terrorists shooting on us. And in 1 or 2 seconds, I saw how most of my group murdered. They're dead. I don't have what to do. Escape only except just to keep running. After a few minutes of running, I saw 2 big cactus bushes. So I jumped to the right one, and I've been inside of the bush from 10:30 in the morning till 7 p.m., almost 9 hours. The longest my 9 hours in my whole life. I heard Allahu Akbar. It's the screaming of this terrorist, and also the screaming of Israeli people. They're just begging, please don't kill me. And with all of that screaming, I start to understand with myself that I'm going to die. I completely feel it inside of my soul. And then I make a voice message to my mom and say in the voice message, Mom, I love you, and Mama, I'm going to die.
For 12 hours, we were locked in the safety room. Then the army came, and we were taken out to a children's house. All the peoples were gathered there. And the first thing, you look around. Who's here? Who's not here? And then you realize the devastation. We were a community of about 400 people, children and adults. 1 out of 4 was either murdered or kidnapped.
When we got to the tractor, that was the first time my daughter cried. So I breastfed her and she was quiet. And when she started to lose conscience, I told my husband we're going to do everything and to try to get a medical help because we can't keep her safe here. We decided we're going to go to the entrance of the kibbutz and try to find people that could help us. When we got to the entrance of the kibbutz, that was the first time we saw soldiers that took us to Sheba Hospital. Yael was in an induced coma for 8 days. Ariel, my husband, for 10 days. And I was in the induced coma for 52 days.
52 days.
Yeah.
It's start to be dark every minute more and more. And I tell myself that if I will not do something right now, I will stuck here all of the night. Then I saw lights from far away from me. I think to myself, it's the terrorist or it's the IDF. It's kind of 50-50. What I'm going to do, I tell myself I don't care. And I scream, I'm a security guard from the Nova. And they answering, it's the IDF, it's the IDF. And then when I came to Urim, it was really the moment that I tell myself, Din, you survived the Nova. You completely survived, you're alive. And just a few seconds after, I got a call from Bar's brother. And he asked me, Din, where is Bar? Where is my brother? And in the video, Hamas posted, you can see my best friend, Bar Kupperstein, with more hostages. And then I realized that my best friend is a hostage.
You know, to be frank, the 7th of October was a moment where institutions in Israel failed. But the flip side of that was to see the beautiful, grassroots, authentic response of civilians, private citizens in Israel, and Jews around the world who understood that this is the time for action. You saw civil society, organizations came together, volunteers, everything from helping families evacuate from houses and kibbutzim and communities in the south and then in the north, to helping farmers take care of their crops. Just an outpouring of clothes, money, food, water, shelter.
We were offered this site here at Kiryat Gat. They bought us everything you needed here and filled up the fridge and the cupboards. It was so touching to see what the people, Am Israel, what they did for us.
The first night, it was barbecue for 500 soldiers. Then in a few days, 25,000 per day. We have thousands of volunteers. It's the Israeli spirit and the Jewish spirit. We are united. We are standing together. It's not something that someone can defeat.
People understand that there's a genuine need. And people understand that if they don't step up, then that void isn't going to be filled. People around the world recognize this and, most importantly, not only understood it, but actually translated it into action and deeds.
Without our family and without the help of our community of Israelis that stood by us every day, you know, we are here now because of the kindness and the help of our family and because of the staff here. They give me so much hope that I'll recover soon.
What we've seen over the last year is the resilience of the Israeli people. and the courage with which they have lived under tremendous pressure and strain for decades.
You know, there are moments in this life when the pure, unadulterated evil is unleashed on this world. The people of Israel lived through one such moment this weekend. We must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel. To any country, any organization, anyone thinking of taking advantage of this situation, I have one word: don't.
I think when you see an attack like that, it really requires a unified response. I think in that moment it was so important to show the world that we stand with Israel.
All of my nerve endings and synapses through this entire year have been on fire. Have been on fire as a mom, as a Jewish mother, as a Jew, as a Zionist. Everything I've ever thought about related to why I understand how important that it is that there is an Israel came in to the sharpest possible clarity at the outset of those attacks.
In times of need, that is when you need support the most, and that is when you need leadership and clarity, and that is when you count on your friends to be on your side. The US was there for Israel, and we had that support, that leadership, that commitment, and I think that was absolutely crucial. I think Israelis understood that they were not alone.
We were the first congressional delegation, the first members of Congress to be in the region, to meet with both families that had family members murdered and that had family members taken hostage. I spent that day in tears. And to be quite frank, I spent part of every day that first month after October 7th in tears.
No one should have to endure this type of tragedy. No one should have to be traversing the world, begging and pleading with world leaders to secure the release of their child. It really, reaffirmed for me how important it is to have resolve, to show strength and support, and to be clear. This is a battle of good versus evil.
Since October 7th, I think the community, our community, has really understood the need for us to come together. We really only have each other at the end of the day. We persevere because we have to persevere.
Israel is a beacon of hope in the Middle East, and we have a responsibility to help protect that.
I think that October 7 and this year has been proof of the quality, the resourcefulness, the spirit, the love, the character, the commitment of Am Yisrael.
I decided to go to the Israeli news to speak about my story. And then I started to do a lot of interviews, feeling this is what I need to do. I found my mission, to be this awareness. So every time that I come here, it's kind of to put a Band-Aid in my heart. I take the people next to bar poster, these 30 minutes that I'm speaking, and I feel him. I feel him every day.
Before October 7, I studied medicine in Ben-Gurion University in Be'er Sheva. Now I'm doing recovery and finishing the year of internship, studying to be a doctor in the same hospital. In my graduation, when I walked to the platform with Yael in my hands, All my classmates just stood up and clapped. It was so emotional because it was like a small victory for our family. And I was so proud of my family that stood up for me every day, every hour of the day.
Our aim today is here to build and reestablish as much as we can the kibbutz life. Instead of doing it this way, on paths, on lawns, we're doing it this way, in the elevators. Even though I'm almost 87 years old, I'm still optimistic. And I want to believe that after the shock that we went through and we are going through now, something of what we were before will return.